it is our final segment this morning with the new head of the ACLU. She's replaced Hetty Weinberg. First time in 37 years there's been a new leader of the ACLU in Tennessee. Hopefully, you know, we're not getting a lot of calls first thing this morning in this organization. Maybe people understand what it's all about, Kathy. Maybe they don't all the way. Moving forward, do you see the ACLU's mission changing in any way, or has it pretty much been the same for the last many decades?
It's been the same since really the 1920s, and I think we're going to continue on. We will shift, you know, a little bit here and there as needed as the landscape changes, but we're going to always be supporting those freedoms and those liberties that are so important.
And I would imagine, and you know, I don't know what the numbers are like nationwide, or even if you guys make them public, but I mean, membership, which is, there are people who will say, it's just like some people say, I'm a card-carrying member of the NRA, or I'm the card-carrying member of the ACLU. Do you actually get a card if you join the ACLU?
You do get a card.
You get a card, like you do with the NRA, and I guess enrollment has probably been up, been down, but there is, across the country, millions of members, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't know the exact number. I'll find that out because that's a good question.
Okay, I didn't know. It may not be something, you know, but I just assume as much. But as it is, I mean, the organization is primarily supported as a nonprofit as donations, right? It is.
Donations, also foundations, grants. You know, there's some national support for our Tennessee affiliate. But yeah, primarily we are supported by our members. And the members are everything. And we have a larger membership in Tennessee than most of the other similarly sized affiliates because our membership, it doesn't cost much to join. And
I'm just curious, how much does
$20.
It's $20 to join, and then do you pay dues, or is that just every year $20?
It's just you pay every year.
$20. And for that you get the membership, and you're supporting the organization. What else does that? You get a newsletter?
A newsletter. We have something called The Vigil, which is a great newsletter. You also get updates. You get invited to our events. We have an event coming up to honor Hetty next week on November 10th. If you look at our website, it's called Joy 22, and the quote is, "Joy is an act of resistance." And so we're really, you know, we're celebrating, and the Black Opry is going to perform. Don Henry, Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter, and we're just really excited to celebrate Hetty.
I knew there had to be something like that because you took over basically last month, right?
I mean, it's about 6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's okay. Real quick, we have a call before we can wrap things up. Thomas, good morning. Hi, Thomas.
Hey, good morning, people.
Good morning.
Hey, I called in and talked to you with the sisters, and I noticed you said you'd never been on jury duty.
Right.
Well, I was on jury duty in 1972 at 25 years old, and you're not going to believe what happened to me. I'm not going to tell it now, but when you have Nick Leonardo, the other lawyer on there, I want to tell that story because you don't believe what things were like back in those days. If you think they're bad now, you're not going to believe it. Thank you.
All right. Well,
I'm going to definitely be listening for that episode. I want to hear what Thomas has to say.
We were talking earlier this week about that, and the judicial system and jury selection, and, you know, again, he was off base on that as far as what we're talking about. But I do think about cases, and what this ACLU is all about is making sure people are treated fairly. I don't know that you can have any role in jury selection, all this. A very high-profile case recently was just overturned out of Sumner County with Lindsay Lowe, who was convicted of killing her infant twins 9 years ago. Just a horrible, horrible case. But there was a juror who was not honest during jury selection, had an agenda, and, you know, the evidence may have been there against Lindsay Lowe, but without having a fair jury, none of that mattered. And so she gets a new trial, and it's thrown everything up in the air. Things like that. It's just, people get very upset about it, but you need to step back when you think about preserving your civil liberties and recognize, maybe happening to someone else, but it's a slippery slope. What if you're the one in that seat?
Or your family member, your child, your neighbor.
You just want people to be treated fairly, so that when a conviction happens, if and when they do, you know it was done right, and you lock them up, that's fine. But if not, right? Isn't that what at the heart of it all is making sure people are treated fairly, get civil liberties, and can live their life the way they want to without a bunch of people. My take is live and let live, as long as you aren't hurting anyone.
Amen. That's the ACLU's motto, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and the ACLU, clearly, and I know you, I mean, there are things the ACLU, organizations the ACLU has represented that you have you don't like them at all.
Absolutely.
It's like, it's awful, but under the guidelines, they have a right like anyone else.
Yes. And a lot of people don't like that, but we think it's essential to democracy and to our way of life here in Tennessee and in the United States to let people live.
You really have to get to that, because I remember there was one time there was something involving the Klan, which disgusts me. And I remember Hetty sitting here and saying, well, we filed suit on behalf of these Klan members. And it just hit me wrong. I'm like, to heck with them, you know? And then she did a great job of really explaining why. And again, it's a slippery slope. If you don't defend them when they have a right to assemble, next time it might be for you.
That's right.
You know, it's got to be the same for everyone, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, so do you recommend people, if they want, they go to a website to sign up, or what do they do?
ACLU-TN.org and sign up, come be part of what we're doing here in Tennessee, and we look forward to really just changing the landscape on a lot of these issues over the next few years.
I'm just curious, I mean, your work over at Juvenile Justice, you were always very accessible, and I know a lot of people, especially in the media, were very sorry to see you go.
I appreciate
and
that.
I'm just, who's going to replace you? What's going to happen over there?
Oh, I'm so excited.
Okay.
Jennifer Wade, she was a magistrate.
Okay, I don't know her.
Over at court. Yeah. She was with the truancy program, and then she was doing our gang court. She's amazing. She's going to do a fantastic job. She's beloved by the staff and by the public, and she's already started.
And so she's, okay, I'm sure she has that, but I mean, you've touched bases with her, and she's seen how you operate.
Yes.
Because you always return calls. You always were agreeable to meet with people, you know, and that's important, you know. And sometimes, you know, these in the courts you don't always get through, and that's going to be missed. Or we feared that would. So you think she'll just pick up where you left off?
She's going to pick up. She'll be even better. She's great.
Okay, and as far as the ACLU, where you go, you're going from juvie court to this. Again, what kind of staff does it have here? You talk, I know it's not huge, but you said you have a bigger legal team.
We do.
But what else beyond the legal team? I remember going to the office a long time ago.
We have 11 staff members right now. We're getting ready to bring a couple more people on. We have a policy department, a communications department with a community engagement strategist. We have a development department, and our legal team.
The policy department, is that where, you know, you get, say, you may see things happening in the news that gets your attention, you say we got to get involved with this, or you may have, like we heard from our caller earlier, Stacy, someone who contacts you, and then you guys have a meeting and you sit down and you go over, okay, this is what's happening here. What do we need to get involved with?
That's exactly what we do.
How do those discussions go?
So it's called integrated advocacy management, and you basically bring all the teams together, and you look at an issue, and say it's some sort of censorship that's going on with books in libraries. We'll look at it and say, are there legal issues that we need to bring a lawsuit about? Is there a statute that we need to change? Or on the policy level, are there things happening at the local level in boards and commissions? What are the policy issues that need to be changed, all the way up to statutes? And then we look at comms and say, do we need to educate the public about what's going on? And community engagement is saying, what are the different grassroots organizations who are organized around this issue area that we can partner with in coalition to really move this issue forward? So we're looking at it across all these different, with these different lenses to figure out the best strategy for Tennessee.
And then you decide on the ones you choose based on what has the most widespread effect, or how great a number of people it affects. You used a good example. I should have brought this up earlier, as we've seen some books in some school libraries, some controversy on things. Look, I'm the first one to tell you, there should not be Playboys or any kind of pornographic magazine in any school library anywhere, but there are some, you know, critically acclaimed books that may have some content that is a little off base that I would have absolutely no trouble with my son having ever read, and yet there are some parents, oh my gosh, it's good. Meanwhile, they're sitting at home playing gosh knows Call of Duty, blowing people's heads off, and they're upset.
That's a great point.
And they're upset with a child reading maybe a disturbing passage about some kind of early sexual experience, and get that book out of there. Oh, come on, let's go play the most bloody game in videos. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So can lawsuits be filed with books being removed?
Absolutely. We look at all different angles, and from the, going to the library board meeting all the way up to changing the law if we need to.
And that's where there's a lobbying arm.
Yes. So we have 2 lobbyists. We're going to have 2 full-time lobbyists this session. They're working on all issues, and we're really excited about really trying to make some changes and push back on some attacks on civil liberties that we expect to come this session.
And I mean, I guess like any other lobbyist, they're up there working the lawmakers, and they go door to door as it is and bring the case before them and help if they can with legislation.
Absolutely.
Are they welcomed?
Oh, yes. Our lobbyists are amazing.
Okay.
One of them has worked 40 years and was in a Republican administration, and and she really gets that these are the kinds of values that people that are American and patriotic values, and that they do fit in with a lot of conservative beliefs. And so she's able to kind of message that across the aisle, which is really important in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's just important to remember. I mean, ACLU, you may have an image one way or the other in your mind based on cases, but they're nonpartisan, and as you say, I mean, it can be Republican or Democrat. It really doesn't matter to you. You take the issue. You don't say, wait a second, is this a Democratic issue? It's a Republican. No, you guys don't look at it that way. It's just this is an issue that deals with civil liberties, and so we tackle it.
And I've heard that a lot of people don't know that they support the ACLU until they themselves have an issue where they need the help of the ACLU, and then they're surprised to learn that we do work across the political spectrum.
Gotcha. Kathy, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure, Nick.
We will talk again. There will be issues and lawsuits maybe, as Hetty came on frequently on this program, when you're in the middle of some kind of litigation or some big case, and we'd love to have you come back.
I'm excited to do that. Thank you.
Congratulations on this.
Thank you so much.
Big shoes to fill, but they're lucky to have you.
I appreciate
you coming on. All right, I'll take a break. Be back with a programming note about tomorrow right after this. Stay with us.